Angela, look at this. You're supposed to cut between these tabs. See a little scissor icon? But there's no line to follow. So you're supposed to follow between the sealed lines, which is incredibly hard to see. Then this label comes into play. Well, let's just say that's really difficult. And I hope I don't break the seal on either side of these, just because they didn't print a line on it.
My name is Angela, and I'm a visually impaired designer. Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I'm excited for today's video because I've been wanting to do this video for a very long time. This is something I'm very passionate about, and we're going to be talking about packaging design, and more specifically about food packaging. Now when it comes to food packaging, I feel like I always struggle to be able to see it well and be able to make a decision on what I want to buy in the store, and then when I get home having the ability to read the directions easily without having to worry about not being able to see it or how it works, being able to use the packaging in regards of opening it or storing it properly. There's so many aspects of packaging design that I feel like could be improved. Like in the video I showed you at the beginning of my friend Heidi, who sent me her video of her packaging for the bacon, it has really become a problem for her to be able to cut her bacon in half, put one in the fridge and one in the freezer without worrying about breaking the seal, because it would go bad way faster if she breaks the seal. This is a functional problem that makes it difficult for her to do that. So for this video, I'm just gonna pull out some food that I have in my home, show you the packaging there, and then later on I'll take you to a couple of stores and I'll show some examples at some stores. Okay, so I'm making orange chicken for dinner tonight, and this packaging has the instructions on this clear wrap, so it's really hard to read on this clear packaging here with ink on the plastic. I pulled this cream cheese out as a great example for the packaging. A shiny reflective material like this silver that you see here can be kind of difficult for packaging, but it's working here because it's just super simple text. It just says cream cheese and the net weight, and it has high enough contrast that it doesn't bother me, and it has more of a matte feel than a glossy feel to the reflectiveness, and so that's working for me. And then also a rare thing is when I'm able to read a Best By date without using my phone or something else to aid me, like a magnifier. And so I really like that the contrast on here is placed well, it's not around a bunch of stuff, and so it's easy for me to read. All right, next I have my favorite yogurt, lemon meringue yogurt. I love this so much. So if you can see it, it's very reflective, like shiny top, which is interesting because it's not metallic, but it has like a sheen to it. It makes it a little difficult to read the top, but I think it works just okay. And then if we turn it to its side, everything looks fine. We get to the nutritional label. It's a little hard to read because it's a condensed font that is a little bolder, and so maybe thinning that out and making the contrast a little higher could help. And then you get to this part right here. I can't read that at all. I don't know, you might be able to see in the video because it's closer up, zoomed in, but for me, with my eyes, that blue background and the black text, with how small the text is nearly impossible for me to read. All right, my next example is a marinara sauce. It's in a glass bottle, and it has a white label telling all the information. It's super high contrast and very simple, just black text on white, and it's very easy for me to read. I don't have to worry about straining my eyes or pulling out a device, and I think it's just working well overall. Here I have a carton of almond milk, and I can read the packaging that says almond vanilla milk pretty well. It's really good. You can even see down here in the corner that there's black text on white. That's really easy to read, no problems there. But just wait. You turn it to the side to see the nutritional facts. That's great and all. I can read that just fine. And then you look to the right to look at the ingredients list and other information about it, and it's on this pale blue color background with white text, and it is nearly impossible for me to read. The contrast is super low. I don't understand why on this really light blue background they would put white text. It just doesn't make sense. So it would have been as simple as making this white text black for it to be legible and to work well. All right, so looking at this packaging, everything on the front looks good. Like there's good contrast in the words and everything for this Ghirardelli chocolate. But then I went to look at the label for the nutritional facts and whatnot, and it's just like I can't read anything because it's very shiny and reflective because it's on gold and it's like a metallic-y bag. So that makes it really hard to read. On top of that, the contrast is fairly good, but with the reflection, it just makes it harder. So this is an interesting example because when you first look at the packaging, it's for Skittles and Airheads and Sweet Tarts and Starburst, but it's like really bright and kind of crazy, which is okay because you can tell really easily what's in it because of the logos that are on there. And the important information down here with the labels and just like the net weight and everything is really legible, so that's great. And then on the back, if you want to be able to see what the nutritional facts are, this is a really good example of super high contrast, good size of lettering, and non-distracting, so it's really easy to read. Alright, this hummus is a great example of using a darker color on packaging to add some variety and a pop of color, and then you can still read stuff on it because they used white text. So this is a great example of how you can really use color to draw people's attention, but also make it legible, and this text is larger than it normally is. So that makes me really happy. Alright, so this packaging is interesting. It's a Parmesan Asiago dip, but in order to see the ingredients in it, you have to look at the bottom, but it's on like a curve, and so it makes it hard to read because it's like all indented and also not in great colors that are super legible. I personally can't read it with my bare eyes. Alright, I just found a super good example of really good packaging. So these are some moon cheese cheddar puffs, so they're like crunchy cheese puffs, and the front of the packaging is super clear. It tells you exactly what I need to know and nothing else. Alright, this is Boom Chicka Pop. It's popcorn and it has really good packaging. Super simple, easy to read. There's a light background with bright text, so that makes it really pop and easy to read. If you look at the back, this nutritional label makes me really happy because it's super big. I don't have to strain my eyes at all to read that. Super rare, including the ingredients list. This is really good packaging. I like it a lot. Alright, so here's another example of packaging that has the clear, like plastic packaging where you need to cut it in half in order to store one and eat one for later. And so it's going to be really hard for me to tell where to cut this because this whole like label comes into play. There's no like helping me at all cutting it in half. So I'd be really worried about breaking the seal on one or the other side. Alright, so here's a packaging where it uses orange, and it's a Bark Thins pumpkin dark chocolate. And if you look at the label on the back, this is an example of when they've used orange and black text, or I think it's dark brown. But the letters are larger than the other packaging, and the orange is a little lighter, so the contrast is a lot higher here. So I can actually read this with my bare eyes biggerly, but I can read it, so that's great. So I think this is a really good example of good packaging. So here's an example of packaging with low contrast. It works okay right here where it says pistachios. That's just because the font's a little larger. Down here it gets a little harder for me to read, but I don't love that they've added a stroke to it. It makes it a little more legible, but sometimes that can make it harder to read. And then on the back, where the nutritional label is, I mean, there's text here. I can't read at all. I could barely even tell there was text here. So this is probably a no-go to have white text. This definitely should have been black or something that's higher contrast. We just finished looking at a lot of different examples. There was some really good ones and not so good ones, and there was definitely some that were in between as well. So I hope that this video helped you understand that packaging design is super important when someone is at a store or in their home. If they're trying to decide if they want to buy they're trying to figure out if it has ingredients that they want to eat or can't eat, including people with allergies, or being able to just use the simple instructions to cook whatever is inside the package. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel below so that you can see other videos that come out in the future. I hope that you all have a fantastic day. Bye!